And we've got ourselves a series. After the Knicks looked poised for a sweep in games 1 and 2, the Spurs roared back to life in another finals nail-biter in game 3, and it was De'Aaron Fox's step-back game winner. That was the late dagger as San Antonio made this a 2-1 series Monday night. Hey, Jalen Brunson, as your Knicks look to go up 3-1, what's your big takeaway?
I think most importantly, saying this last night, win or lose, we're going to come be here today to understand what we need to do to be better. And that's to be our mindset regardless. And win, we learn. Lose, we learn. And we understand what we have to do to be better. Giving our team, giving our chance to have the ball and not turn it over, stop fouling. And like I said, just attention to detail and continue to be who we are.
Now, a series like this, it's all about adjustments. And for Victor Wembanyama, the big change between games 2 and 3 involved his ability to make plays down low. Listen to this. In the first 2 games, the 7-foot alien averaged a rather pedestrian 11 points per game in the paint. In game 3, Wemby scored 16 points in the paint, his most on the inside since game 1 of the Western Conference Finals against OKC. Here's Wemby with more.
The goal is always to go inside. The best shot in the game, an alley-oop, is the most efficient shot, but teams don't just let you do that. But I think what we've built with this team is that we've got an identity that makes everybody dangerous, and sometimes it'll pay off. And over a season, over a playoff series, we're going to get easy buckets and inside buckets like I did last night.
Now, Wemby's overall 32 points in Game 3 were his most in the finals to this point. The road teams in this series, they've been awesome. The Knicks tuned out the noise inside a raucous Frostbank, and the Spurs silencing MSG on Monday night. And with that, we say hello to a man who was inside the Garden for Game 3, former NBA forward Al Harrington, a Jersey kid who spent some time as a Knick himself. Al, what was the atmosphere like at MSG on Monday?
It was crazy in there. Fans came, they bought it. Because everybody had to be there, I think like 2 hours before the game, I felt like there was a ramp up of the energy. But when it was game time and after they did the announcements of like the players coming out and everything, it was pretty lit in there. The fans was trying to get after it. Unfortunately, in the first 2 quarters, or most of the first 2 quarters, we were losing. Going into halftime, we ended up taking a 7-point lead into halftime. So by that time, the crowd really was getting crazy. Unfortunately, we couldn't finish it. The energy of the home crowd couldn't will our team to win. But hey, we got another shot at it tomorrow night.
Got another shot at it on Wednesday for sure. Derek Jeter, Eli Manning, they're in the building. We'll see if they're in the building again for Game 4. This was the first finals game in the Garden since June 25th, 1999. And in this one, the Spurs snapping that 13-game winning streak that the Knicks brought into game, having been winning all throughout these playoffs. Now, while it was Wemby who had his imprint on this game, it was him taking the shots at the end of this game. And you played so long in this league. What, in your eyes, was the reason why the Spurs ended up winning Game 3, ended up winning that?
I think they were just a more desperate team. They're a young team. I wouldn't say I was hating on them, but I doubted, the fact that because they were so young and inexperienced, that they could even get this. But there's a zen around this team that's like pretty impressive. Obviously with Wemby and Castle, 2 of the youngest players being the leaders of the team, and no matter what's happening, kind of always even kill. And it's always like, we're right there. Don't count us out. We're going to figure this. And that's what they, obviously coming into the Garden, you would think that it would be such a crazy crowd that guys would go to other, but really good players usually respond and have great games in the Garden. The Garden is the Mecca, right? The way it's set up is a dark crowd. The court is lit up. It's a stage, and you get a chance to go out there and dance. And you have 20,000 people out there screaming at you, and all the negative things kind of fuels players, and especially really good players, because you just want to shut everybody. And that's what they were able to do last night, man. They was able to shut the Garden up and send people home.
Yeah, that's a stage that you've a lot of time on. A stage that you also have spent time with Knicks head coach Mike Brown. You were part of that Pacers team when he was an assistant there all those years. He has seen his finals games throughout his career. Now, I'm just curious that when you look at him, kind of adjustments do you see him make between games 3 and 4?
Well, I think one of the biggest adjustments, kind of get back to the way they've been playing. I think last, Jalen definitely was, I'm the king of New York. Everybody here to see. And I'm about to show everybody, you know what I'm saying? And not from a selfish standpoint, but just the simple fact that really this is his team and he really has a Jalen Brunson dominant game. And I think last night he wanted to, and because it kind of came out that mind, kind of took Cat a little bit, his rhythm, the way he's been leading up to this game. He was the one that was pretty much creating all the plays, every kind of going through him and kind of getting the ball in second actions, which allow the defense to shift into, more open space for Jalen to be able to attack. So I think, one, they got to get back to that. But another, when you think about playoff series and the fact you kind of got to win one game at, it's like, what are mismatches out there, right? And we know, like, clearly on the other side from the Spurs thing, Wemby, he's on the Knicks side. People don't talk enough about. To me, it's OG. Nobody. They have no player over there in San Antonio that has his level of athleticism. And so I think that if we can find a way to incorporate him a little bit, especially down, because it'll throw them off. They kind of prepare for either Cat or for Brunson to be in action. But what if how do they react to that? Who's going to be the person that's going to have to sell out and get the ball out of his hands? That just changes the dynamic. So that's one. If I could talk to Mike, or if Mike is watching, maybe it's something he should.
He might be watching after all, and if we see that switch, we know exactly where he got it from, Al Harrington. Now, you mentioned Wemby in this one. He had 8 rebounds, 6 assists on Monday, Game 3. What was different with him in terms of how he played in that game compared to the first?
I think he was just very intentional. He said, and I think the coaching staff said, like, we're going to start like old school basketball. We're going to go inside out. Right? Normally everything that he does comes from the perimeter, right? He's a 7'5" Kevin. But last he said, you know what? We're going to start inside with him. We're going to try to get him some easy baskets. And then shots like this happen, right? You can make 3. You kind of get into rhythm. What surprised me was the fact that he got so loose on those pick and rolls to get those lobs, because the first games, the Knicks, rotating early, bumping him off his F, that didn't allow him to do that. So I think that obviously they go back, they look at the tape, they make those adjustments, and hopefully it makes it a little bit tougher for him to score around the back. When he starts, normally good things happen, and it's just a ebb and flow of the team that he kind of benefits.
Yeah, and all right, now, Al, we got to ask you, who do you have winning this next?
I think I came on here and I said Knicks in 5. They need to win this game for that to happen. I just honestly think the Knicks need to figure out a way to win this game. These young kids, which I give them a lot of credit for, like some little dudes, and I don't think we want to allow them to tie this up going back to San Antonio with a bunch of confidence in front of that crazy crowd. Even though I do believe that it's easier playing on the road, you have nothing to lose, there's no expectations. But I don't want the Knicks going, to San Antonio tied 2-2. So we got to find a way to win. So I'm
still staying with the Knicks. And Knicks fans, you can catch Al Harrington in Spark for Game 4. He's going to be that experience. Al, really appreciate the insight, and stay safe during Game 4.
Yes, sir. Good talk, brother.
Of course, is a look at the NBA Final Game 4 preview Wednesday night at 8:30 in New York. The road teams have never started 4-0 in the NBA Finals. We could be on a path forward. Of course, the road teams have won the first games in these 3 straight road wins in the NBA Finals for San Diego, looking to make 4 games in a row for them. The 13-game winning streak that the Knicks had in these playoffs